Hey, namaste, I'm Kay. This is Ecstatic Self. Today, I want to share a little personal story about me and my life. I like to share with you about why I left the career of acting. So, a little personal history. I grew up as a little kid, and it was one of my favorite ways to play. I would create film sets out of construction paper in my living room. I'd get a camcorder and make movies, and I was always playing characters, and I was always singing along to musical theater soundtracks. And then I started doing community theater starting when I was 8 years old. Did that through high school. By the time I graduated, I think I did close to like 60 different productions, and went to college to be a theater major. And I really struggled in college. I really, really struggled about, is this what I'm meant to be doing? I had a lot of positive support from my family that they said yes. But I felt like the lifestyle didn't fit me, and I felt like the people didn't fit me. And I wasn't having a great experience in school being an actor. And one of the things that started becoming clear to me as I continued in my acting classes is I didn't really care about a lot of the things I was supposed to be caring about. I realized that the role I wanted to play more than anything else was Batman. Like, that's what I wanted. I wanted to be cast in a film version of the Batman story and play Batman. And at that time, specifically, I wanted to get cast as Terry McGinnis, the teenage version of Batman from the cartoon Batman Beyond, which has never been made into a feature film. But shout out if you remember that cartoon. Now, in hindsight, the fact that that's what I wanted should have been a moment to pause. Because in hindsight, what I think I wanted Batman and those sort of roles to give me was a sense of self. A sense that I was powerful. A sense that I was good enough. A sense that I was sexy, right? That if I could get cast at that tier in those type of roles, then I must be worthy. I must be masculine. I must be sexy. I must be powerful. And I was determined to do whatever it took to make that reality. I've had a forgettable number of personal trainers in my life. I would go to the gym twice a day. I would eat ridiculous amount of foods and go on extreme diets. I would take acting class after acting class and work with mentor after mentor because I was like, I want that. I want this goal. And I struggled as an actor when I graduated college and in college. I routinely got the feedback that I was a great second or third choice for a role. I routinely got the feedback that casting directors didn't know what to do with me, that they couldn't figure out who I really was. They couldn't put me in a role because they felt like I was always acting, that I was always performing. And what's interesting is actors are lauded for their ability to demonstrate vulnerability, authenticity, and connection. But because I was disconnected with myself, I couldn't offer that in my work. I wanted a superficial replacement of self-worth that I thought the roles, the approval of casting directors, and the applause or the awards would give me. And so I worked as an actor for 7 years in Chicago, and I will say this, I worked a lot. I was constantly working. There was almost never a time where I was between gigs, because I was doing project after project after project. But it was effing hard. I hit roadblock after roadblock, and great opportunities would seem to manifest and then disappear. Like, I got cast in my first lead role at a big theater in Chicago, and I got fired a week before opening because the role had changed through rewrites, and they no longer thought I was right for it. But they didn't even talk to me to see if I could make it work. The first time I got cast at a Tony Award-winning theater as an understudy, the artistic director told me he only hired me because he wanted to fuck me, not because he thought I was talented. Like, it just wasn't going great. It wasn't fulfilling me. And then I started making my own projects like Legend of Ambo, which you maybe saw from it a few days ago, to try and give me a feeling of control, a feeling of like, I can create my own stuff, I can make art in a way that's meaningful for me. But I was living in Chicago, it was becoming clearer and clearer that I didn't want to keep working in the theater because of the hours and the lack of money and the lack of prestige. And I didn't want to do commercials. What I really wanted to do was TV and film. And I thought, I need to move to LA. And I thought I would be more marketable as an actor in LA, that I'd be more their type. And in 2016, I got cast in a play that took me to LA. I was going to perform there for 5 months in a new comedy, and it was a great script, and I really loved the cast and the crew, and it's like, finally my time has come. And it felt like the universe was aligning because I had become SAG eligible, I had a really great reel put together, my resume was strong, like I had a reason to go, and so I moved. And I thought that was going to be the culmination of everything I wanted from when I was a little kid, to have the opportunity to audition for real films and real projects. And I got out there, and I worked a lot. In 5 months, I booked 11 different projects, from national commercials to network TV shows or cable TV shows to streaming web series. And in that time, I got a commercial agent, a manager, I got a couple offers from theatrical agents. Like, I did a lot. I did more than I think a lot of people could accomplish in their first 5 months in LA, in Hollywood. But something just didn't feel right. From the moment I showed up, I remember watching the sunset, and the colors being wrong. It didn't feel like this is what I wanted. And then there was a tipping point moment for me. I had gotten a meeting with one of the largest commercial talent agents in the city, and we sat down together one-on-one in his office, and he said, Ken, you're not in a place where I'm ready to represent you, but I think you have what it takes, but you got to give yourself 10 years to make it happen. So one, are you okay with feeling like your career really takes off 10 years from now? You're 28, 38, it's, on the cusp of being too old, but you could still, 10 years from now, you could still wrangle out a good another 10 or so years out of that career. So it's still doable, but it's gonna be everything, right? Like you can't have anything else in your life. This has to be at full time. You can't really have friends. You can't have relationships. You have to be 110% in making this happen. And if you do that, I guarantee you can be very successful and have everything you want in this town. And I sat there, and my body recoiled. I was like, fuck no. No way. I don't want that. I dislike it here immensely. I don't look around and think the city's beautiful. I don't like the people. I'm not connecting here. I feel so alone. What I want 10 years from now is to feel loved and cherished by people that matter to me. I want to feel connected in community. I want to love where I live and walk around and say, oh, I live in the best place possible for me. And I began to realize, or it finally clicked in my head, that self-worth and validation came from the people I loved and from myself. That I didn't need to be Batman, that I didn't need to be a Hollywood heartthrob or a leading man or in movies or in TV to feel good enough. It's something I could give myself and had to give myself, because we see time and again the people who seem to have it all are actually miserable and drug-addled and suicidal. In order to be happy, no achievement's ever going to just fully give it to you. There's actually a term for it. It's called the arrival fallacy, this idea of once I achieve blank, then I'll be happy. And then you achieve it and depression settles in because you built your whole life around this thing and you realize it's not as fulfilling as you thought. And if it wasn't that, then is there anything that will make you finally happy? That's a very dark place to be. I also began to realize that if I stayed as an actor, every conversation I had would boil down to one thing, and that was being treated like a piece of produce, being treated like a commodity. How much juice could you squeeze out of me? Because that really, when you're working in that industry as an actor, that's what everyone wants to know. How much of a fan base do you come with? How many followers? How much money are you going to be able to make me? How attractive are you going to be for the next 2-3 years before you start to get old? How much can I squeeze out of you now? And I never wanted to feel like that again. I wanted to feel seen and valued for my spirit and for my soul and for my authentic self, not for something superficial. So I left LA. I started driving back to Chicago and actually had to leave my car at the Denver airport because my agent called me to say she booked another thing, fly back. So I flew back, shot that project, flew back to my car and continued my road trip home. really haven't looked back. I miss the craft of acting sometimes. Like, I miss that beautiful collaboration I'm working on, maybe scripts and digging into my truth and trying to bring emotional resonance to some gorgeous language, but I don't miss the industry. I don't miss being an actor. And if ever an opportunity came up again where I'd have the opportunity to do it, but in a holistic way, sure, I'd explore it, but I don't miss it. What was hard, however, after I left acting was, what do I do now? Because I'm still an artistic spirit, and I'm still somebody who thrives through creating. And if it's not going to be acting, then what? So that will be my topic for tomorrow's video. Why I wrote my book. And I'm excited to share it with you. I'm Kay. This is Ecstatic Self. Please check out my book. It's coming out online. Journey to the Ecstatic Self, available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever. And if you think this video is helpful to someone in your life, perhaps another struggling actor, or someone trying to come into wholeness, please share it with them. Thank you for your time. Be well.